I was on a site visit recently. I spent a couple of days shadowing a nurse in a hospital and was following her around and watching what she would do, how she would fix her IV bag up when there wasn't a hook, or how she would stuff two pillows in the same pillowcase. And whenever I would ask her, so did you think of that? Was that your idea, or is this the way? And you could just see the way that her eyes lit up, and it was so clear that she had never thought of herself as a maker, or thought of this as being something to be proud of.
Yeah, but I mean, as someone that watches this, it's almost like an ethnographic study. You want to go out and collect that and say, look at all these ideas that are often just ignored.
And we had, I don't know how many conversations we had about this difference between making and invention, and how one is, there's some overlap, but sometimes there's not. And we know that a lot of the examples that they get when we walk into a hospital and say, oh, you're looking for innovators, and they'll point to the doctor who has a patent or who has a publication or a procedure named after them. And one of the major barriers that I think that we're trying to overcome is define making for them.
Right.
It's not about this super original idea necessarily.
Right.
That it's about that concept of very handy fabrication that is still very creative. It can become something very innovative, but it's the fact that it solves it.
Yeah. Well, I think another fellow from MIT, Eric von Hippel's written a book called Democratizing Innovation, and he talks a lot about sort of user-led innovation. That the examples he gives are from extreme sports, and someone wants a kayak to go down a river a certain way, they build it because they can't buy it. But others begin to see it, and it begins to spread that way. But there are these qualities, I think, that you are immersed in that environment. And you're very close to it. You know exactly what you want to do. You're not sitting outside and theorizing. You make those choices. And the more that begins to be visible to other people, it can spread. Those ideas can be passed on.
We did some research, and we saw as we developed this project, at the beginning of the 20th century, we looked at lots of issues of the American Journal of Nursing, and they even had basically the Make magazine of their time for nursing, and everything from 1900 all the way to 1950. Tons of ideas. And then something happened in the 50s where it just dropped like a cliff, and they became stealth.
Right.
So we're trying to bring those
back. Again, another analog that I see, a lot of science education in, say, the 50s was described in a very DIY fashion, like here's how to build this experiment in your classroom. It wasn't like here's to go buy it from a catalog.
Right.
And that similarly just sort of fell off.
Standardization, evidence-based learning, or medicine.